humanity. Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m.
Experience the rhythm of Africa come alive at Daylight Africa Week in Senegal. Join us for the groundbreaking Transatlantic Family Reunification Forum, where hearts unite and stories of resilience span continents. Journey through the rich culture of Dakar, Gorée Island, and St. Louis, where the echoes of the past shape our future. Lights, camera, action. Network with visionaries and trailblazers during our social and economic networking events. Together, we'll build bridges to a brighter future. Daylight Africa Week in Senegal. An unforgettable journey awaits you from September 2nd to 10th. Reserve your spot now at www.daylightafrica.org. Terms and conditions apply. Events are subject to change.
Okay, welcome to Talking Politics. My name is Robert Press. I write for Bronx Chronicle, as you can see by my official New York City press card. I also contribute to the Co-op City News and Parkchester Times. The latter, like this show, is part of Muslim media. I also have a blog at www.100%.blogspot.com. Facebook page is 100%, and What is Going On in Your Community Board. The views expressed on this show are those of the host, any guest, or anyone commenting at the bottom of the screen, not necessarily those of Muslim media. Let's go to the weather report today, Friday. We should see a high of 81 under sunny skies. That will take us into next week. Saturday, the high should be 84 with the temperature getting up to about 84, I should say. It's 85 on Sunday. Both days will be perfect beach days. Monday, the high should be about 85 with a slight chance of light rain Monday evening. On to politics. The Democratic convention ended with a powerful speech by Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the candidate for president of the Democratic Party. I watched tonight's event at the Bronx Democratic Party headquarters, but it seemed like all the elected officials were in Chicago as delegates. We had a nice, loyal Bronx Young Democratic crowd there, and we watched it peacefully. Vice President Kamala Harris accepted the Democratic presidential nomination using the most consequential speech of her political career to cast herself as the avatar of America's middle class and an avenue to usher the country away from the abrasive style of politics embraced by Donald Trump, who she constantly criticized. While Harris addressed most issues of the Democratic convention, the war in Gaza, she signaled that she would pick exactly up where President Joe Biden has left off, supporting Israel, but calling for peace in the region. And on that note, Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with officials in Israel at what he called a decisive moment for diplomatic relations aimed at reaching a ceasefire here in Gaza and securing the release of hostages, which Israel has agreed to, contingent upon Hamas agreeing to thus settling up a prisoner swap. There was one problem, though, at the convention. On Monday night, New York Congresswoman Grace Meng was scheduled to speak, and in between Governor Kathy Hochul and President Joe Biden, hours before the primetime spot, she announced that she was ready to take the stage at 9:57 p.m. for what was supposed to be a 3-minute speech on reproductive health care freedom. Early in the day, she released a statement saying that she was honored to be selected as a DNC speaker, and Meng, along with other 2 scheduled speakers, however, were bumped from the schedule on Monday. The snafu was attributed to the program running late, organizers not wanting to push the final speaker into the night, President Joe Biden too far out of prime time, and the other 2 who didn't get to speak on Monday were Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was a former DNC chair, and musical performer James Taylor. Biden delivered his speech at the DNC in Chicago at 10:30 p.m. in Chicago time, which was 11:30 in New York. In a statement, like I said, organizers blamed the raucous applaud for interrupting speaker after speaker and pushing the event behind schedule. Former current Eastern Queens State Senator John Liu was present at the DNC as a delegate, and he expressed outrage that Congresswoman Meng's primetime spot was canceled. Like many other Asian Americans, that is, he was thrilled to see Meng, who works so hard to secure the Asian vote in Queens, kick off the convention and rally behind Harris. Congresswoman Meng did speak, though, on Wednesday. Now, what are we doing about Harris? Her map to improve her situation as far as a candidate. The difference between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden is that there is now a spike among non-white voters. Biden has held up surprisingly well with white voters, given his diminished position overall. Biden was only winning black voters by about 50 points. Numbers like this would have made Georgia and North Carolina, two swing states with relatively high black populations, completely unwinnable for Democrats. Biden's performance with Hispanics was similarly abysmal, facing double-digit erosion from his 2020 margin. This type of collapse meant that the Sun Belt states like Arizona and Nevada were almost entirely out of play for him. By comparison, Harris holds up far, far better. While she does not yet hit Biden's 2020 benchmark with these groups, she still has managed to make double-digit gains with black voters and notch several gains with Hispanics. That explains why the Sun Belt is suddenly back into play for Democrats, as both Georgia and Arizona have been virtual ties, and a good chunk of this has to do with a substantial improvement among minority groups. She has expanded the generation gap. Harris has significant gains with women, improving her electoral prospects nationwide. Harris is gaining significantly while holding steady with men. Young voters are back. Perhaps the most startling development in Biden's 2024 polling numbers was his abysmal standing with young voters. It wasn't entirely surprising that Biden was already the oldest president in history at the age of 82 and would have been the oldest candidate ever for president. It's also that Kamala Harris is bridging the education divide. While Harris has gained both college and non-college educated voters, but her gains with the latter seems to exceed her gains with the former. She has 5-point gains over Biden with non-college voters, which represents a substantial improvement before his withdrawal. There is also threading the needle with independents. Firing up her base while making gains with independents, Harris has made 7 points worth of gains with Democrats in a relatively short period, a startling figure showing both the dissatisfaction among many Democrats towards candidate Biden, as well as a newfound energy of many of them who are feeling with her, much like the young Democrats I was with last night here at the Bronx County headquarters. They were energized. Harris has achieved this without turning off independent voters. In fact, she has simultaneously managed to gain 9 points with independents. Some of this may just have to do with the fact that she is subsequently younger than Biden, which addresses one of the largest gripes voters had appeared to have with the presidential candidacy prior to Biden's dropping out. But it is likely also related to Harris's own campaigning and candidacy. Harris has made sure to take steps to distance herself from the president's unpopular views that she voiced in the 2020 campaign. This helped her resemble a generic Democrat in ways which she never did pre-dropout of Biden. The rapid turnaround in public opinion has been nothing short of unprecedented, especially for a candidate that was broadly seen as unpopular a month ago when she was a vice presidential candidate. Whether this last is anybody's guess, after all, it still remains a good chunk of time. There is about 80 days left, or a little less than 80 days, in an already jarring election season that has seen a criminal conviction, an assassination attempt, a candidate swap, all before Labor Day, Labor Day homestretch, that is. It is critical to note that Biden's deficit was so acute that even all of Harris's recent gains, the presidential race remains a toss-up. It is a far cry from where things stood just 4 weeks ago with the unifying effect of the Democratic convention. Harris's surge may not yet be played out. The debate should be the telling tale of this, the debates that is, should be the telling tales of this election. Now, former U.S. Representative George Santos pleaded guilty Monday to committing wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. In pleading guilty, Santos, 36, of Queens, New York, admitted he filed fraudulent FEC reports, embezzled funds from campaign donors, charged credit cards without authorization, stole identities, obtained unemployment benefits through fraud, and lied in reports to the House of Representatives. In doing so, Santos violated laws designed to ensure that the public has accurate information about the personal finances of individuals who seek to represent themselves in Congress and how the political campaigns are funded. The transparency and accuracy that these laws require are essential to the integrity of the election process. For what may seem like the first time since he started his campaign for Congress, George Santos told the truth about his criminal schemes. He admitted to lying, stealing, and conning people. Santos is scheduled to be sentenced on February 7th, 2025, and faces a mandatory minimum 2 years in prison and a maximum of 22 years in prison. Federal District Court judge will determine any sentence after consulting the U.S. sentencing guidelines and other statutory factors. As part of the guilty plea, Santos will have to pay restitution of $373,749 and change, and forfeiture of over $205,000. Speaking of the election, third-party candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s troubled presidential campaign said that it would address the path forward at an event this week, even as the candidate himself was in Long Island, fending off an attempt to block him from New York's ballot for a second time in court. Now there is talk of him dropping out of the presidential race and endorsing Donald Trump, possibly. On the sidelines of the Democratic convention, former Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi appeared to blame Governor Kathy Hochul's 2022 re-election campaign for dragging down Democratic House candidates statewide and thus in part costing their party the majority. But that is not the only woes for Governor Kathy Hochul. It appears that the New York State Thruway Authority on Thursday sued the consortium that built the Governor Mario Cuomo Bridge, claiming pipes used to connect the bridge's distinctive cables to the main structures are not up to standards. The lawsuit filed in Supreme Court in Albany accuses Tappan Zee contractors of breaching their contract with the Thruway Authority by among other things, refusing to redo the work on the bridge's prior director declared it unacceptable. This is holding them accountable and getting what we paid for, said Frank Horry, the Thruway Authority Executive Director. I have no obligation to the Thruway, to our board directors, to the governor, and to the toll papers to get what we paid for. Several cables attached to the bridge, built to last 100 years, have had to be replaced only 7 years since the bridge was built. With the replacement of cables, though, it has been said that the bridge is safe to cross. Another woe for Governor Kathy Hochul in legalizing marijuana. New York has brought seismic changes. It also appears it brought sticker shock to some customers, with a 3.5 gram jar of flour costing $60 now at licensed shops or licensed dispensaries, compared to about $40 to $50 dealers and unlicensed shops used to charge for. Now, I spoke to one Bronx person who uses marijuana, and he said that I ain't paying more for my weed. Okay, on to the next subject. Shootings in the state. Governor Kathy Hochul Tuesday announced that shooting incidents with injury declined 29%, not 92, 29% through January 2024 compared to the same 7-month period last year, as reported by police departments in New York State's Gun-Involved Violence Elimination Initiative, that's GIVE. The overall decline is a result of significant substantial reductions in gun violence across communities served by the 28 police departments participating in GIVE. New York City is not participating, unfortunately. This is keeping New Yorkers safe is my top priority. Governor Hochul said our comprehensive efforts to bring down gun violence is working, and I'll never stop fighting to ensure safe communities all across our state. The 29% decline reflects 351 shooting incidents with injury from January 1 through July 31st, 2024, compared to 497 incidents the previous year of 2023. New York State's GIVE initiative supports 28 police departments in 21 counties, with the state majority of the state's population outside New York City. For instance, the following police departments received reported significant declines in shooting through July 2024 compared to the same period, seven-month period last year. In Yonkers, for instance, there was a 57% decline, Nassau County a 56% decline, Suffolk County a 50% decline, Rochester saw a 35% decline, and Syracuse saw a 32% decline. There was also a 21% decline in number of individuals killed by gun violence in GIVE communities during the same period, 70 individuals for the period 2024 compared to 89 for 2023. It is the New York City Police Department reported an 11% decrease in shootings, 530 versus 595 in New York City for the same period of time. The FY25 enacted budget included $347 million secured by Governor Kathy Hochul to fund a comprehensive plan that addresses gun violence, reduces crime, and recognizes the importance multi-phase approach improving public safety. Now, why didn't New York City get a penny of that? Well, that's up to Governor Kathy Hochul, who seems to favor upstate. And I see it is time for me to take a commercial right now. I will come back with some other money that Governor Kathy Hochul is giving upstate or outside New York City when I come back after the commercial. So let's go to a commercial, please.
In a world where the quality of information available to poorer communities is doctored, tainted, and sometimes regressive, where the words fake news have come to mean other people's opinions, it is vital to rely on news platforms with journalists who have feet on the ground and can report the truth. New York Parrot, a New York-based national and global news outlet, is changing the narratives of media operations. We focus on the news that matters, like self-empowerment, entrepreneurship, finances, health, security, politics, and more. We strive to curb violence, racial and economic discrimination, and to promote peace and socio-economic development of multiculturally diverse world. As we give voice to the people, we also give your business a voice and make it heard. Get your product and services off the ground by advertising on our fast-growing platform. With so much of daily visits to New York Parrot, you can't afford to be invisible to prospective clients on the website they trust the most. Our posts reach millions of people across the New York State and around the world. Advertising on our news site will unlock an audience of thousands of potential customers on your doorstep. New York Parrot is born to prosperously speak tomorrow for the voiceless.
Step into the heart of Africa at Daylight Africa Week in the Gambia. Join us for the groundbreaking Transatlantic Family Reunification Forum, where we embrace our shared heritage and stories of strength. Explore the captivating history of Banjul, Bakau, Kunta Kinte Island, Sanyang, Tendaba, and more, where our roots run deep. Celebrates Africa's unity and progress. Witness the Odana Laye Award ceremony, honoring trailblazers who shape our destiny. Network and connect. Join our social and economic networking events. Together, we'll pave the way for a brighter future. Daylight Africa Week in the Gambia. An unforgettable journey awaits you from September 2nd to 10th. Reserve your spot now at www.daylightafrica.org. Terms and conditions apply. Daylight Africa Week. Unite with us in the heart of Africa. Be a part of history in the making.
Okay, welcome back to Talking Politics. Now, I'm going to give you a little more about the GIVE initiative because $33.8 million was awarded by Governor Kathy Hochul, and here is where the money is going. It's for youth employment program spending by region. The capital region is getting over $2.5 million. Central New York, over $3 million. The Finger Lakes region is getting almost $4 million. Long Island is getting almost $8 million. Mid-Hudson is getting $10.5 million. Mohawk Valley of $1.34 million. The North Country, $500,000. Southern Tier, over $2 million. And Western New York, almost $9 million, for a total of almost $40 million. Now, I don't see New York City here. They're getting no money for this gun prevention. I don't know. She's spending too much money upstate, Governor Hochul. She's from Buffalo, and she needs to spend some more money down here in the city. We have problems. But it seems that New York State seems to follow New York City on certain ideas. For instance, New York City implemented a smoking ban on virtually all workplaces in 2002, while the state followed suit in 2004. All electric buildings were passed by the city council, local law 97, in 2019. And in 2023, the state passed a version of the All Electric Building Act, which will take an effect really in 2028. Matching funds, the New York City Campaign Finance Board established matching funds in 1988, and the state has just done it here, giving a boost to their candidates, where the state allows donations of up to $250, anywhere from 6 to 12 times, depending on the office and the amount contributed. In New York City, for city council races, $175 gets matched 8-1 for a council race. In borough president, the limit goes up to $250, and it goes higher, I believe, or it stays the same for citywide offices. Next was landmark preservation. The New York City Landmarks Preservation Law was enacted in 1965, and in 1980, the New York State Preservation Act was passed. As far as banning legislators' outside income, the New York City Council voted to give itself a pay raise, increasing the salaries. Remember, they now get $148,500, but in exchange, they had to agree to forego outside income. The state legislature in 2022 pushed their salaries up to $142,000 at the end of the year in 2022, tied to a cap of 35% of outside income, of which Republicans objected to. Okay, let's go to a little bit about what Mayor Adams is doing. It appears he made a blunder during his speech at an Indian Independence Day celebration in Queens, where he mistakenly referred to India as its community as Pakistan multiple times. Then, when responding to a reporter's question about federal corruption probe, New York City Mayor Eric Adams appeared to accidentally say, "One of the gifts that I really made me good at being a mayor is my ability to sexualize and stay focused." Okay. Then there's New York City Sheriff Anthony Miranda, who's been accused of repeatedly using emergency lights and sirens on his department vehicle to speed through rush hour traffic as he made his way to work, and on occasion to escort his adult son to his job, it's reported. Then Mayor Eric Adams' top attorney, Lisa Zorn, said that neither the mayor nor anyone in his government have been told they are targets of a federal investigation into his 21 campaign ties to the Turkish government. It appears the Adams administration went to considerable lengths to support Steve Cohen's proposal casino near Citi Field, including the mayor's own top attorney helping Cohen's team draft park alienation legislation. Then New York City Mayor Eric Adams now is shrinking the city's office footprint to account for a smaller municipal workforce, a controversial mayoral priority that quietly underway according to a review of internal communications and budget documents. Meanwhile, the migrant crisis continues. Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez arrested a park employee for assaulting a migrant, and the city drastically is shrinking the migrant population on Randall's Island while combating rogue encampments and complaints about safety there. About 800 residents who moved out of the massive temporary structures into more than 25% of the 3,000 people it can accommodate, officials said on Tuesday. Converting part of the island into a migrant encampment has been a source of contention with city families that use the park for sports and leisure. The island contains 330 acres of parkland, including a stadium, 60 athletic fields, a tennis court, and vast green space. The massive tent shelter, which is managed by the city's Health and Hospitals Agency, has also been plagued by a spat of violent incidents, including one where a male migrant was stabbed to death in a dispute in January in a fatal shooting just weeks ago on the island. Obviously, this is part due to public safety issues. City Councilwoman Diana Ayala, who represents Randall's Island, and pressed City Hall to slash its migrant population, applauded the action. We are happy the city is reducing the population so people are not on top of each other. During Mayor Adams' briefing on Tuesday, he reported that while more than 700 new migrants entered the city shelter system over the past week, more than 1,200 migrants departed from the city. Our goal is to find out how we can downsize to smaller locations, Adams said while discussing complaints about mega shelters. By shrinking the large shelters is a challenge because migrants have to be relocated everywhere. Easier said than done because communities are in opposition to these sites. We have one site coming here in the Bronx in the Riverdale section where 95 families will be put in a former Manhattan College dorm on West 238th Street. Most of the community is objecting to it. State Senator Gustavo Rivera, though, is in favor of it, and he led a counter demonstration at the site. There are currently 63,300 migrants in the shelter system, which involves 217 sites. Mayor Adams said that more than 212,800 migrants have come through the city intake system since spring of 2022. Let's go to another topic, reading scores. It appears that New York City reading scores have gone down. The mayor and the school's chancellor touted a new reading curriculum, New York City Reads, as the way to turn around years of stagnant test scores where only about half of the city's 3rd through 8th graders are proficient readers. 1 year into the endeavor, those test scores have gone down. First Deputy Chancellor Daniel Weisberg said that it is not a shock that we see a slight dip the first year in the implementation of New York City Reads. Just 49.1% of students grades 3 to 8 scored proficient or better on their state English language arts exams this year, Education Department officials said. That's down 2.6% from the year before. Weinstein called it an implemental dip. Now, as a former parent leader, I know that this 49.1% is not good enough. It was very close to that 20 years ago when I was a parent leader. And if I was a parent today, I would be very angry at the school system because it appears that there has been very little improvement since Mayor Bloomberg came in, Mayor Bill de Blasio, and now Mayor Eric Adams. Hundreds of our elementary school teachers and principals and sports staff and kids and parents are dealing with a brand new curriculum, new coaching, a real new approach to literacy, Weinberg said. And however, during the course of the past 3 mayors, there's been 1 or even 2 different literacy approaches. And they've also gone from different types of math programs, but it appears that city school children still are not learning English or math, and something has to be done. We need a new mayor with a new program coming in. And speaking of that, we could see Mayor Cuomo. It seems that Andrew Cuomo is, considered, he says, I have no current plans to run for mayor or governor, but it appears that people are talking to the former governor about both running for mayor and running for governor, citing a current deficit in leadership in both. Now, I'm going to really end the show right here. I really wanted to go into the city of yes, housing opportunity, but I'll say a few words on that. During a radio show that Mayor Adams was hosting, he had Housing and Preservation Development Commissioner Adolfo Carrion, as I see my producer is telling me to end the show, but we're going to run over a few minutes. That Commissioner Carrion said that 49 to 59 community boards have failed to produce an adequate supply of housing units. 10 of these community boards have produced as much new housing as the other 49 combined. And I will say that Councilman Raphael Salamanca's council district has produced a lot of these new units of housing. However, in District 13, currently held by Christy Marmorato, the only Republican councilwoman from the Bronx, there will be 7,000 new apartments coming to the Metro North stations at Morris Park and at Van Ness Parkchester. 400 of these units will be on the Parkchester side in one building, and the other 600 units of housing will be in the 13th Council District. Now, as far as monies, there was $5 million set aside for improvements, where Councilwoman Amanda Farias, who is the Democratic Majority Leader, with only 7% of the units, she is getting 40% of the improvements. Councilwoman Maramato, who has 90% of the new units, is only getting 60% of the monies for improvements. What can I say? Probably because she's new and she's a Republican, she couldn't get it. Perhaps a Democrat, someone like myself, might have done a better job and gotten more for our community and less housing. We don't know. We have to take what we got, and I'm going to end the show on that note. And I'm not saying I'm running for city council, but, you know, it's a good idea. Maybe we need a Democrat back in the city council, although I will say that Councilwoman Maramaro is trying her hardest, and it appears, though, that the Democrats are taking advantage.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official launch of the Bronx Post, your premier source for news and information in the Bronx. As the CEO of Muslim Media Corporation, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Bronx Post, our latest endeavor dedicated to serving the vibrant and diverse community of the Bronx.
Oftentimes, mainstream media portray this county in the most negative way possible, all because Bronx continued to be judged in the 70s and 80s when Bronx was burning. Today, as we enter the Small Business Month of 2024, Muslim Media Corporation is proud to announce the formation and the creation and establishment of a new newspaper that will cover the entire Bronx, continue to highlight the new Bronx, the new realities and the new developments and the new attributes of the Bronx. Some things that are not being covered by, again, our mainstream media. Bronx Post, the first county-wide newspaper to be published by Muslim Media Corporation, that has already been publishing Parkchester Times.
We aim to be your trusted source for information. We believe in the power of journalism to inform, inspire, and unite communities. With the Bronx Post, we seek to amplify the voice of Bronxites, celebrate the richness of our culture, and shed light on the issues that impact our lives.
Changing Bronx deserves a changing narrative, and the Bronx Post, which will be launched in May in commemoration of Small Business Month, will highlight that which Bronxites have been yearning for mainstream media to highlight. So, to all my fellow New Yorkers, particularly my fellow Bronxites, join us, patronize us, read us, and follow us, so that you will be extremely proud of the addition of news reporting that highlights the new realities of the Bronx.
Together, let's make the Bronx Post the heartbeat of our borough. The Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.